Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Riftside Cold Reads. I've been talking to myself this whole time, thinking that I was live, but there was another button that I had to click that I didn't. So I was talking to myself. Alas, I am trying to stream to Instagram, and apparently it's working. So if you are tuning in on Instagram, please let me know if it's working. This is my first time recording live directly to Instagram. Streaming is the word I'm looking for. So yeah, if it's working, let me know, and if it's not working, let me know or not, because you probably won't see this if it's not working. At any rate, yes, we are here working on Riftside. This is part 3 of my cold read series, and it's still very much the beginning of the story. So I don't think there's anything that is going to constitute too much as spoilers, minor spoilers, I suppose. We're on chapter 7 here. And I'm very excited for today's stream because we're going to be introduced to a character who I am just super excited to play. There is a particular voice that I have in mind for this character, and I've never done anything like it. So we'll see how that turns out. I think it's in chapter 8 that we're introduced, maybe at the end of chapter 7. So yeah, we'll see about that. Um, yeah, let's jump right in. I'm hoping it's today. I haven't actually looked ahead, so it might be tomorrow, this weekend or next week that we run into this character. But I'm hoping it's today. I'm hoping. If you are watching this, please say hello in the chat. I'd love to know that you exist. No pressure, of course. If you want to be a fly on the wall, you're more than welcome to lurk. That is totally cool with me. I do it all the time. Yeah, I do have Instagram, and I'm terribly bad at actually doing anything on Instagram. I don't post really. I just don't do much. So, yeah, if you want to follow me there, that will be better inspiration for me to actually stay on top of my Instagram game. That's where the people are. I've been kind of a dinosaur using Facebook this whole time. Um, and yeah, people are on Facebook, of course, but I think more people are on Instagram, and definitely a lot of younger people are on Instagram, so they say. And I want to rope those young innocent minds into my web of darkness. That is my goal for social media. So that's really reasonable, I think. Rallo90, hello. False Positron, hello to both of you. It's good to have you back, both of you. False Positron, I don't believe that you have heard this series yet. I think I was talking about it yesterday in my stream on Discord. For those of you who are not a member of our Discord, join it. Join it. It's a lot of fun. And I don't have a link in the description, so you're going to have to go hunting for it. But you can do that. All right. Well, why don't we get started? I'm going to do a little listen session just to the last couple minutes of my previous chapter, and just to get back into the mindset of this world and story. But before I do, False Positron says, I have both, but use neither of them. But yeah, Instagram and TikTok is the way to go for the younger generation. Yes. I think we have a lot of stories that would connect with the younger generation. I'm saying that as a 35-year-old man who is completely out of touch. So if you're younger than me, let me know if I'm totally off base or whatever slang thing could be said about someone who's out of touch. I don't know. What is a good uh, Gen Z way of saying I'm out of touch, or alpha way of saying I'm out of touch? I don't have Riz. I had the skibbity or something. Oh God, I'm losing. I'm losing them. I can feel it. All right, I'm going to play a little bit. And hello, good morning to you, Mr. Jenner 33. But keep in mind, the reason we don't just look in the center is because it blinds too many to the true value of the carcasses. Aggregated across 100 monsters, there's usually more value in their materials than the gems. And one shouldn't be sad when there isn't one inside. He reached into the center. We should celebrate the materials and what they can do for the fight against the monsters. Gems are just icing on the... He trailed off, his whole body going rigid. Excitement flushed through me. Another gem? Pa's jaw clenched hard, a look I knew all too... Pa's jaw clenched hard, a look I knew all too well. Something was wrong. What's the matter? Close the gates. His voice had turned cold and as hard as steel. Why? Do it, now! I rushed to comply, worry flooding my system as I pulled the heavy wood doors shut and dropped the bar. Just make a little bit more of an interruption there. Why? Do it, now! Sound a bit more intentional. Why? Do it, now! I rushed to comply, worry flooding my system as I pulled the heavy wooden doors shut and dropped the bar. Ma! Pa called out. Close up the shop! But Rowan's coming by soon with the new sword. He'll have to come back later. Do it now! There was a moment's hesitation in her voice, but she hurried to comply. Yes, darling. Wooden slats echoed as we sealed up the smithy and our home like the steel husk-reinforced mini-fortress it was. Ma and I hurried back to Pa's side. My heart was beating just as hard as it had been when I first faced off with the monster. Just what the hell had he found in there? What is it? I asked. Watch, he said simply. He turned his back to the spider and extended the cut. I tried to lean in for a better look, but Ma held me back. There was a wet squelch as Pa reached in with both hands this time. When he pulled them out, my legs nearly gave way. Is that? Yes, son, it is. But how? What does this mean? Pa's eyes narrowed in the forge light. It means we're either debt-free or in a shitstorm of trouble. I see there is a discussion about my mortality happening in the chat. Thank you guys for the reminder that I will not live forever, despite what my narcissism would say. Let's see. Yes, I am entering the last half of my life, and it's time for a midlife crisis. Hey, that time passed long ago. You're assuming I'm going to live to 70. Some of my habits may indicate otherwise. Just kidding. I'm not that bad. And yeah, the clock is ticking. Time waits for no one. At least in my heart, you will stay young forever. Hey, well, that's the attitude to have. False positron. Or true positron. All right, here we go. Oh, let me actually just double check that I'm using the right microphone. Yes, I am. Okay, that's good. You never know. Chapter 7. Chapter 7. Hey, morning, Richie. The gem gleamed like liquid twilight. The gem gleamed like liquid twilight in my palm. It was much heavier than an ordinary one. It was much heavier than an ordinary one. Deep purple swirled with ribbons of mottled green and brown that matched the corrupted wood of the woodweaver's body. I looked closer and spotted patterns of the crystalline. I looked closer and spotted patterns. I looked closer and spotted patterns in the crystalline structure, reminding me of tree bark and fungal growths. The surface felt warm against my skin, almost alive, and beneath the purple shadows, shadows moved like creatures swimming in the depths of a dark lake. Gorgeous, gorgeous, I muttered, unable to. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, I muttered. Unable to let go of the gem. Gorgeous. 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 Gorgeous, I muttered, unable to let go of the gem. It was almost as if the gem called to me. Dangerous. 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 Drink some tea, Ma said, placing a glazed cup in front of me. I nodded, but was still unable to take my eyes off the gem, one of the larger sources of light in the dark room. She poured the salty milk tea, the rich aroma filling our upstairs dining room. The retractable stairs were pulled up and secured, and the shutters closed tight. We had sealed ourselves in and weren't opening for anyone until we decided what we were going to do. We had sealed ourselves in and weren't opening up for anyone until we decided what we were going to do. This gem. This gem, I said. Pa sat motionless, staring into his untouched tea. The silence stretched until I thought I'd scream. Pa! What do we do? Ma set down the teapot with a gentle clink. Well, the first thing we have to do is finish what you started. I blinked. What? What? I asked. Her lips quirked. You didn't finish butchering the spider, did you? Did you? Did you? Everything's a life. Did you? Did you? Everything's a lesson with you, isn't it? Did you? A laugh burst from my throat, sharp and slightly hysterical. Everything's a life lesson with you. Everything's a life lesson with you, isn't it? Everything's a life lesson with you, isn't it? Everything's a life lesson with you, isn't it? Pa said, and slowly shook his head. He shifted for the first time in what felt like hours, his chair creaking in the closed room. How secure is your claim to the gem? Pa asked. The moment of hysteria quickly died as I thought back to the dungeon, the chaos of battle. The spider's death, how I'd stored the corpse before Edwin's group could arrive. Hey, Cassius, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. And hello, Henrik. The authors are here, everyone. Group could arrive. Tell me the truth, son, Pa said, his voice gentle but firm. I swallowed hard. Well, I killed the monster myself, bashed its head in with my axe, so by scavenger rules, it was mine to loot. But it was fleeing from the adventurers, nearly dead. They weren't there, though, nor did they see me store it, and my friends told them it fled, so nobody knows we've got it. And my friends told them it fled, so nobody knows we've got it. Pa's smile turned sad. Pa's smile turned sad. That's wrong. 4 people know we've got it, he said. They'll keep it a secret. They'll keep it secret. I wish it was so. I wish it was so. You don't know them. You don't know them. You don't know them like I do. You don't know them like I do. You don't know them like I do. I saved their lives today, Pa. I saved their lives today, Pa. All of them know that they'd be dead without me. That has to mean something. That has to mean something. I'm sure they wouldn't spill your secret on purpose. I'm sure they wouldn't. I'm sure they wouldn't. I'm sure they wouldn't spill your secret on purpose. I'm sure they wouldn't spill your secret on purpose. I'm sure they wouldn't spill your secret on purpose, Pa said carefully. But this is a soul gem, Ash. This one treasure is enough to change our lives forever. Jealousy does crazy things to people, and all it would take is the slip of one lip, and the entire town will know. Maybe you wouldn't kill for 25,000 gold or a soul weapon, but are you prepared to gamble our lives that every resident in Dawnwatch is as kind-hearted and fair as you? Fair as you? Goosebumps again, eh? Yeah. Fair as you? Yeah, it's a good kind of, this is a compelling kind of conflict between the Pa and Ash. It's a juicy. Benedict's face flashed through my mind. The rage in his... Benedict's face flashed through my mind. Benedict's face flashed through my mind. The rage in his eyes when he thought the spider had escaped. How he'd pushed Edwin to chase after it despite the danger. What would he do if he learned it had dropped a soul gem? What would he do? What would he do if he learned it had dropped a soul gem? Would Edwin take it? Would Edwin take it from me? What would the Adventuring Guild do? The room seemed to shrink around me, the walls pressing in closer. Sweat broke out across my forehead as I understood. Sweat broke out across my forehead as I understood. Pa's comforting hand landed on my shoulder, warm and steady. Don't be mistaken. Don't be mistaken, son. Don't be mistaken, son. What you have done is nothing short of extraordinary. A soul gem? I never thought I'd see another in my life. He chuckled, and I could see genuine happiness in his face. But, hey, worst case, we sell the soul gem and split the 25,000 gold among the entire town. At 25 gold each, it would make you the most popular man in Dawnwatch, put the town forward by a year, and set you up here for life. But, Pa held up a finger, that's the absolute worst case. But, Pa held up a finger, that's the absolute worst case. A way to buy yourself out of trouble. Heck, we could give each 5 gold and keep... We could give each 5... Heck, we could keep 5... Heck, we could give each 5 gold and keep 20,000. We could pay off our debt and get you past level 30. We could pay off our debt and get you past level 30. Even Even if we bought all the mind gems in Dawnwatch, even if we bought all the mind gems, even if we bought all the mind gems in Dawnwatch, I'm not sure I could reach. Even if we bought all the mind gems, even if we bought all the mind gems in Dawnwatch, I'm not sure I could reach 20, I said, scratching the back of my head. And that's if there are 2 class gems available for the break. And that's if there are 2 class gems available for the breakthroughs. True, hence the danger of selling it. While we would work to buy any mind gems we can get our hands on to make you strong, someone would take the gold. Someone would try to take the gold from us. Maybe it wouldn't be one of the adventurers already here. Maybe it wouldn't be one of the adventurers already here, but someone would come. Pa's face hardened again. Pa's face hardened again. They always do. What if we travel to Kingsworth and sell it there? Or we can sell it to the bank here and get the credit gem grammed to the... Or we can sell it here, or we can sell it to the bank here and get the credit gem grammed, or we can sell it to the bank here and get the credit, or we can sell it to the bank here and get the credit gem grammed to the capital. The entire world would know a pair of wealthy people, unable to defend themselves, was crossing the entire... The entire world would know a pair of wealthy people, unable to defend themselves, was crossing the entire kingdom. Every shady person in the realm would be looking for us. There's always the second option. Ma's words cut through the blacksmith's. Ma's words cut through like a blacksmith's. Ma's words cut through like a blacksmith's hammer. Pa and I turned to stare at her. Pa and I turned to stare at her, as if she'd suggested we head through the rift sideways. Pa and I turned to stare at her, as if she'd suggested we head through the rift sideways. You want us to forge a soul weapon? You want us to forge a soul weapon? The words tumbled out of my mouth before I could stop them. At first, they sounded ridiculous, but then an unfamiliar feeling set itself deep inside my soul. Was it greed? Oh, monster balls, I never thought I'd feel anything similar, and I didn't like it one bit. But it was my right. I had killed the Woodweaver and protected my friends, as a scavenger no less. Ma's eyes sparkled with that familiar look she got when she had an idea that scared the rest of us. Think about it. Soul weapons are a mystery. No one really knows how they work. She turned to Pa, touching his arm. Imagine forging one. Imagine forging one, discovering what they can do. This might be our only chance to find out. How many smiths have experienced that? The corners of mouths. The corners of mouths. The corners of Pa's mouth twitched upward, and he nodded. The corners of Pa's mouth twitched upward, and he nodded slowly. The corners of Pa's mouth twitched upward, and he nodded slowly, muttering something to himself and continuing for a good minute. But we don't even know what a soul weapon does. What if it becomes worthless? Pa shook his head slowly, stroking his beard. From what little I know, the weapon grows with the adventurer, adapting. From what little I know, the weapon grows with the adventurer, adapting to their abilities and fighting style. His eyes met Ma's as if I wasn't even there. Without a soul weapon, a level 60 adventurer is an army. Without a soul weapon, a level 60 adventurer is an army by themselves. But one with a soul weapon? Our Ash could stand the tallest among the tall. Have you both gone mad? I gripped the edge of the table. Selling the gem will change our lives forever. I could finally pay you back for what you've done for me and... Selling it only gives us temporary gain. Selling it only gives us... Selling it...
For me and
Selling it...
for me and
Selling it only gives us temporary gain, Pa said. Pa said, his voice steady and measured. It would lift us into a different section of... It would lift us into a different section of society if done right, true. But a soul weapon will remain with you to death. His eyes locked onto mine. How many more gems couldn't you earn with it? And more importantly, how many more lives could you save? And more importantly, how many more lives could you save? The words hit me like a physical blow, and I pondered what I could do with a soul weapon. Could I clear out dungeons single-handedly? Stop monster surges? Become the one others look up to? I swallowed. Imagined the places and sights I could see. I shook my head hard enough to make my neck crack. You've already done enough. You've already invested so much in me. Selling it will help us all. Selling it will help us. Selling it will help us all. Thomas, Ash. Ma's voice was soft but carried the weight of absolute certainty. When we are old, drinking tea on our veranda, our many, many grandchildren playing downstairs, and we stare out across the bustling city of Dawnwatch will become. Which path would leave you with a pit of regret in your stomach? Regret in your stomach. She smiled that gentle smile that could melt Pa's stubbornness. She smiled that gentle smile that could melt Pa's stubbornness like snow in winter. That's not the word. She smiled that gentle smile that could melt. She smiled that gentle smile that could melt Pa's stubbornness like snow in summer. We can always make gold, my boys. But a soul weapon? She kissed Pa on top of his shaved skull and trailed her nails across the nape of his neck, making him smile. She kissed Pa on top of his shaved skull and trailed her nails across the nape of his neck, making him smile. By the Smith's own hammer, woman. You are crazy. By the Smith's own hammer, woman. By the Smith's own hammer, woman. You are crazy. Pa grinned like a maniac and squeezed her hand. Had to be to marry you, didn't I? Her smile turned wistful. Besides, what if Ironweave had such a weapon today? Maybe our Sam would still be with us. Pa sighed, then nodded. Pa sighed, then nodded. True, but in the end, Ash, it is only fair. True, but in the end, Ash, it's only fair this is up to you. Up, up to me? How can it be? You're the ones who've given me everything. You taught me how to forge, you've housed and raised me as your own, and you invested enough mind gems to get me into the dungeon. I don't think I get to be selfish. Not this time. I probably wouldn't even be alive. I probably wouldn't even be alive if not for you. And we would happily do it all again, Ma said, topping up my tea. But this gem is as much... But this gem is as much yours... But this gem is as much yours as it is mine. But this gem is as much... But this gem is as much yours as it is mine. Hey, thanks, Jared. Appreciate that. But this gem is as much yours as it is mine. I continued. It wasn't even so much as repaying them, no. It wasn't even so much as repaying them, no. I was afraid to use it. As are you, Ash. Your mother and father placing you with us wasn't just for you and them, it was to save us, too. And you have. You gave us our lives back when we had a foot in the grave, and now, look what you brought home from your first dungeon run. You aren't even an adventurer yet. Ma smiled as she spoke. Besides, there is something to be said for learning to walk before you run. Buying the gems to go straight to level 30, or even 40? Would you survive fighting those wicked monsters, or would you find an early grave, having skipped the hard lessons learned by all other adventurers as they claw their way through the levels? Enough. Enough. In the end, a soul weapon would put additional pressure on you. Pa leaned forward, his expression serious. The decision has to be yours alone, but make sure you can live with it. Whatever you choose, know that we're already proud, and know you don't owe us anything, son. I stared at the gem on the table, its purple depths. Swirling with possibility and danger. Rising from my chair, I wrapped Ma in a tight hug, then did the same with Pa. Thank you, both. Thank you, both. I need a good minute to think about it all. Take your time. As much as you need, he added. Take your time. Pa said. As much as you need, he added, rising and gently taking the soul gem from the table. In the meantime, I'll place this you-know-where. I nodded and drained my tea as he went to the corner, undid the hidden lock, and placed the gem in our floor's hidden compartment with the rest of our valuables before closing it up tight. Better go store that spider before anyone sees it. Better go store that spider before anyone sees it. Pa said. We'll finish butchering it later. I nodded and unlocked the stairs, lowering them down before doing just that. I nodded and unlocked the stairs, lowering them down before doing just that. The spider's corpse vanished into my spatial storage with a touch. The spider's corpse vanished into my spatial storage with a touch and a thought. The spider's corpse vanished into my spatial storage with a touch and a thought. Then I just stood there, staring into the glowing coals of... Then I just stood there, staring into the glowing... Then I just stood there. Then I just stood there, staring into the glowing coals of the forge. Staring into the glowing coals of the forge. Then I just stood there, staring into the glowing coals of the forge. Glowing coals of the forge. Hey, thanks for hanging, False Positron. Good luck with your grocery shopping. Then I just stood there, staring into the glow. Then I just stood there, staring into the glowing. Then I just stood there, staring into the glowing coals of the forge. Then I just stood there, staring into the glowing coals of the forge. I like that one. Okay. And all right, the end of chapter 7. Still no rock. Still no rock. When does rock come in? Probably chapter 9, I'm guessing. Oh, maybe it's still a while. Oh, my goodness. Chapter 9? Ah, there we go. Yep. Yeah, chapter 9 we meet rock. Okay. Might be able to get there today. Yeah, so far so good. That one was a shorter chapter than the others have been. All right, so chapter H. All right. Chapter 8. The shadows lengthened as I walked the circular path that led toward the Titapututu. The shadows lengthened as I walked the circular path that led toward the town keep. It had risen so fast that the outer walls already stood 3 stories high, steel husk planks fitted together in overlapping patterns like dragon scales. What would have taken decades in stone had shot up in mere months, thanks... What would have taken decades in stone had shot up in mere months, thanks to... What would have taken decades in stone... What would have taken decades in stone had shot up in mere months, thanks to the foreign trees available Riftside. The steel husk wood was more durable than stone, but surprisingly easy to work with. The steel husk wood was more durable. The steel husk wood was more durable than stone, but surprisingly... The steel husk wood was more durable than stone, but surprisingly easy to work with once the builders had figured out how. Another interesting revelation was that despite being cut off from the roots, steel husks continued. Another interesting revelation was that despite being cut off from their roots, steel husks continued regenerating for a very long time, though the trunks stopped growing past the point they were cut down at. We will make it today. We will try. I've got to leave right before 11, so we'll see how far we get. Though the trunks stopped growing past the point they were cut down at. I don't think so. I think chapter 9 has just a couple rock lines. But yeah, so we're going to get a sneak piece. Yeah, quite a while still. Cut down at. I was deceptive. I've deceived you all. Here you are. Here you were expecting rock, but it's going to be a while. Workers descended from the structure, the hammering and hauling finished for the evening. The distinctive gray-purple bark of the steel husk wood caught the light in metallic gleams. Once complete, the keep would shelter Dawnwatch's civilians in case of a monster breach. The thought made my chest swell with pride. We were building something that would protect every man, woman. And child, no matter how wealthy they were. Enar lounged by the entrance, helmet tipped back as he enjoyed the last warmth of the day. He brightened when he spotted me. Have I already done Enar? Let me double check this. I don't think I've done Enar yet. Oh, nope, not yet. He brightened when he spotted me. So, who is Enar? He brightened and spotted me, so he's a guard. Right. Oh, yeah, he brightened when he spotted me. If it isn't the hero of Sentinel Station, huh? How about a stereotypical Canadian? If it isn't the hero of Sentinel Station, huh? The man waved. If it isn't the hero of Sentinel Station, huh? The man waved lazily. Heard you did damn good during the monster attack. Heard you did damn good during that monster attack. The commander even mentioned your name, and you're not even class awakened yet. I grinned and raised a hand in greeting. Just did what needed doing. Hold there! Hold there! Hold there! The second guard. Hold there! The second guard stepped forward, hand raised. Construction zones off limits to... Aw, pipe down, Brian. Aw, pipe down, Brian. Aw, pipe down, Brian. Aw, pipe down, Brian, Enar said, rolling his eyes. That's Ash. Thomas's kid, eh? That's Ash, eh? That's Ash. Thomas's kid. One of our top scavengers, eh? Brian frowned. Still dangerous in there. Still dangerous in there. One wrong step on the scaffolding and it'll be our... If he can't handle a construction site, he's got no business going Riftside. If he can't handle a construction site, he's got no business going Riftside, let alone running dungeons. And yet he was there, and we are here, making sure people don't walk the scaffolds. Making sure people don't walk the scaffolds. Making sure people don't walk the scaffolds. Do you think this works? Is he kind of comedic relief here a little bit, or Canadian's perfect? He's just a very kind of making sure people don't walk the scaffolds. About time. Brian's eyes widened in equal measure of shock and embarrassment. Wait, you run dungeons? He asked. Went with Commander Edwin's group today. I said, unable to help but bleed a bit of pride into my voice. Edwin? Edwin himself? Brian gasped, looking at Enar for looking at Enar for confirmation. Even got a personal invite to his party for when we... Even got a personal invite to his party for when I make adventurer, I said, and winked in passing. He didn't move a finger to stop me. Enar's approving smile and Brian's shocked response followed me as I grabbed the first rung of the scaffolding. If he can't handle a construction site, he's got no business going. Nope. This is not Bunny Girl. This is Riftside. Voice reference, and that's Enar. Let's see. That's Ash! Still dangerous in there. Brian. It's followed me as I grabbed the first rung. Enar's approving smile and Brian's shocked response Enar's approving smile and Brian's shocked response followed me as I grabbed the first rung of the scaffolding. The wooden framework crisscrossed the keep's face like a giant's game of pickup sticks. The wooden framework crisscrossed the keep's face. Framework crisscrossed the keep's face. The wooden framework crisscrossed the keep's face like a giant's game of pickup sticks. I started climbing, testing each board before putting my full weight on it, reveling in the sensation of ascending. It was like fighting monsters in a way. It was like fighting monsters in a way, a physical challenge, and I loved going up there. The keep's walls rose around me as I climbed. Up close, the steel husk planks and beams were even more impressive, each one slightly curved, following the natural shape of the tree's bark. The metallic wood had been sanded smooth to deter monsters climbing, but retained its distinctive rippled texture. The planks and beams locked together perfectly, creating a surface as tough as steel plate, but far lighter. Arrow slits and murder holes had been carved at regular intervals, their edges reinforced with additional steel husk strips. My mind wandered to the soul gem as I climbed higher. 25,000 gold. It was enough to set up any business I wanted. Maybe even... My thoughts scattered as I reached the top level and spotted a familiar figure. Maybe even... My thoughts scattered as I reached the top level and spotted a familiar figure silhouetted against the sunset. Aaron sat on the edge of the scaffolding, legs dangling free in the evening breeze. The dying light caught in the twin braids spilling over her shoulders. The dying light caught in the twin braids spilling over her shoulders. Her fair skin glowed in the sunset, making the small black corset she wore stand out in stark contrast. The white blouse beneath billowed slightly in the wind. She looked right, somehow, as if she belonged up here above the world, watching over the people below. And in a way she did. Her green eyes lit up when she saw me, crinkling at the corners with genuine warmth, and my heart did that stupid little skip it always did around her. Ash! She patted the space beside her, the movement making her braids dance. She patted the space beside her, the movement making her braids dance. She patted the space beside her, the movement making her braids dance. She patted the space beside her, the movement making her braids dance. Oh, I need some water. Dance. Come join me in the crow's nest. I settled next to her, close enough that our shoulders brushed. Even through the fabric of her blouse, the touch sent tingles down my arm, and I could feel just how warm she was. How are you holding up? Oh, I'm fine. She waved a hand dismissively, the gesture at odds with the shadows I could see lurking in her eyes. She waved a hand dismissively, the gesture at odds with the shadows I could see lurking in her eyes. I waited. After a moment, she sighed. It was too quiet in my room. Every time I closed my eyes, I could hear the skittering of claws on wood. And Finn's scream. She shuddered. She shuddered, her fingers unconsciously gripping the edge of the scaffolding. She shuddered, her fingers unconsciously gripping the edge of the scaffolding. If Alex hadn't been there to heal his hand, I don't think he would have. Then he'd still be alive. Then he'd still be alive and fine because of you. Not just your first aid. I cut in. Not just your first aid, but those arrows of yours helped him too. You killed more than your share of those bags of crap. A soft chuckle escaped her lips, and she smiled. They really did smell awful, didn't they? Gods, yes. Imagine sneaking one under Logan's... Gods, yes. Imagine sneaking... Gods, yes. Imagine sneaking one under Logan's floorboards. Oh. How long do you think it'll take? We both burst out laughing at the thought of the mayor's reaction. How long do you think Come on. Come on, you slow Ableton, let's go! Oh dear, there we are. We both burst out laughing at the thought of the mayor's reaction. How long do you think it'll take for him to figure it out? Erin wiped tears from her eyes. Knowing Logan? A few hours. Knowing Logan? A few hours. One to blame last night's dinner, another to decide if it's worth... One to blame last night's dinner, another to decide it's worth dealing with overrunning the town. One to blame last night's dinner, another to decide if it's... One to blame last night's dinner, another to decide if it's worth dealing with overrunning the town, and another to tear down his entire office. Tear down his entire office. Oh, damn, that was close. Oh, but those teeth, though. She hugged herself. Erin laughed so hard she nearly fell off. I grabbed and pulled her back to safety. Oh, damn, that was close. She shivered. Erin laughed so hard she nearly fell off. I grabbed and pulled her back to safety. She shivered. Damn, that was close. Oh, damn. She shivered. Oh, damn, that was close. Oh, but those... She shivered. Oh, damn, that was close. Oh, but those teeth, though. She hugged herself. She hugged herself. She hugged herself. She hugged herself.
Oh, the blight beads and that spider thing. I've never seen anything like them.
Yeah, they were nasty. I agreed. But think what we can make out of all of them. I'm sure they'll serve the turn well. I'm sure they'll serve the town well. I'm sure they'll serve the town well. She turned to look at me, a soft smile playing across her lips.
That's what I like about you, you know? How you can find the bright side of everything. Even a crap-filled bag with razor-sharp teeth has its upside in your world.
Hey, Bill. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Teeth has its upside in your world.
My heart stuttered. My heart stuttered, and I smiled at her. So you do like me after all, huh? She shrugged and looked away quickly, still dangling her legs.
Like, you know what I mean?
I smiled out across the town, watching the sunset paint Dawnwatch in gold. I did indeed know what she meant. Beautiful, isn't it? I said. She leaned closer and rested her head on my shoulder. The scent of her hair, soap, and sunshine filled my nose. Slowly, I shifted my hand until it brushed against hers, and after she didn't move away, I placed my fingers over hers. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then she turned her palm up, and our fingers intertwined. We sat in silence as the sun sank toward the horizon. The soul gem's weight pressed against my thoughts. If I sold it, I could buy land right here and build a magnificent house, set up a business, maybe a shop and a clinic. I could court and ask Erin for her hand, provide guaranteed comfort and safety. But if I forged it into a soul weapon instead, well, it would be the harder and more dangerous path where I'd face more challenges than I knew what to do with. It would also allow me to become strong. Really strong. What would a house do me good if the monsters did break through the rift? I'd never even want to imagine being unable to protect those close to me. Who do I want to become? Someone enjoying a stroke of luck, but who do I want to become? Someone enjoying a stroke of luck, but who was afraid of the future? Or someone who could grab the future by the hand and pound it hot, forging it into his vision? I glanced at Erin, remembering her kissing my cheek. She hadn't done it because I was rich. She hadn't done it because I was rich or had a full spatial storage. She'd done it because I'd chosen to fight for her and the others, and because I'd been strong enough to succeed. That was all the answer I needed. I smiled as the last sliver of sun disappeared below the horizon, my mind finally clear about how to proceed. Maybe, with a little bit of luck, I could get her in on the secret, and just maybe the two of us could adventure together. The two of us could adventure together. The two of us could adventure together. The two of us, and just maybe the two of us could adventure together.
The sky was dark. The sky was already dark as I headed home. The sky was already dark. The sky was already dark as I headed home. Aaron's touch still lingered on my hand, and I couldn't wipe the stupid grin off my face. Despite neither wanting to admit it, there was some genuine feelings we could both draw on, but we both had reasons not to push it any further than what we already had. I'd nearly asked her out before we climbed down, but I figured I owed it to myself and her to first. I'd nearly asked her out before we climbed down, but I figured I owed it to myself and her to first figure out my own life. Once that was done, I would have no excuses. Pioneers didn't wait. Voices carried through the night air as I rounded the corner of Steel and Scale. Voices carried through the night air as I rounded the corner to Steel and Scale. The raucous sound of laughter made me pause mid-step. Is that Harold? I peered up at the smithy's roof. Two figures sat there, silhouetted against the stars. One was clearly Pa, his broad shoulders unmistakable. Oh! Hey, there he is! Hey, there he is! The Adventurer Guild's guildmaster boomed. The Adventurer Guild's guildmaster boomed as he waved at me. The young hero of Sentinel... The young hero of Sentinel Station! The young hero of Sentinel Station. The young hero, the young hero of Sentinel Station. Pa caught my eye and gave a slight nod. The message was clear. Get up there. I slipped into and through the smithy, the shop door locked, carefully not to disturb anything in the darkness. The workshop felt different at night, as the forge's dying embers cast a faint red glow across the floor. The house proper was quiet as I climbed. The house proper was quiet as I climbed the stairs. Ma must have gone to bed already. I eased the window wider open and climbed out onto the flat roof. Harold stood as I approached, wobbling dangerously, his arm windmilling. Pa's hand shot out and steadied him. What's going on? I asked. You've done well, son. Harold's words slurred slightly. That's what this is about. I've brought you a mind gem. Edwin's informed me all about the attack on the station. I'd never seen nothing like it. He said, from a non-classed, a scavenger. But, he brightened suddenly. That's why we built the strong base. That's why we built the base strong, eh? Strong walls, strong people. Strong walls, strong people. Mind gem? I looked to Pa, who just smiled at me. Right you are. Right you are. Harold straightened, puffing out his chest. His hand twisted, a finger just managing to touch the spatial tattoo on his wrist, and suddenly he held a gorgeous pearly orb. For services rendered in defense of Noros, above and beyond the normal call of duty. For services rendered in defense of Noros, above and beyond the normal call of duty. He presented it with exaggerated formality, and I gently accepted. Thank you, but, what about the others who fought? Not that I'm ungrateful, mind you. He really is a good one, ain't he? He really is a good one, ain't he? Oh. He really is a good one, ain't he? That he is. That he is. That he is. Pa's voice was warm with pride, and I couldn't help but feel a bit uncomfortable. Pa's voice was warm with pride, and I couldn't help but feel a bit uncomfortable. Don't you worry about the others. Don't you worry about the others, hmm? Harold settled back down, accepting his drink from Pa. This is the 10th mind gem I've handed out today. Got another 5 to go. Never seen monsters drop so many. Never seen monsters drop so many. No point hoarding them when we can level up our people and make sure that our defenses are stronger the next time they come charging. Hmm? More scavengers means... more scavengers means more adventurers. His voice grew wistful. So much to see and to do on the other side that... He touched the cup to the empty sleeve, where his other arm should have been. Pa clapped him on the back. Give yourself grace, old friend. Oh. Grace... grace won't help us. Grace won't help us. Harold's voice turned grim. We need more adventurers, fast. We need more adventurers, and fast. The court won't acknowledge it, but the monsters, they're spawning faster. Not just here, everywhere. We're holding them back for now, but unless something changes or we find out why, well, I'm not sure things will keep going in our favor. Yeah, we got to get Jeff for the movie version. That's right. Jeff Goldblum. I'm not sure things will keep going in our favor. He took a long pull from his drink. We either get stronger faster or we'll start losing. Mark my words. Maybe there's other ways of growing stronger. Maybe there's other ways of growing stronger, Pa said carefully. Harold's head snapped up. Oh? Reminds me of something I saw once. Pa said, his voice casual. It was a soul gem. It was a soul gem, if you can believe it. If you can believe it. Soul gem, if you can believe it. Soul gem, if you can believe it. I went still as a statue. Harold leaned forward, nearly falling off the roof in his eagerness. You've actually seen one, hmm? Oh, tell me more. Pa waved a hand. Ah, hardly a story, really. No!
Story,
really? Story, really? No! Story, really? No, I insist. Well, Pa settled back. Was butchering a monster for a high-level adventurer. Small, two-headed drake, scales like the first winter snow. There, in its chest, was a soul gem, beautiful and clear as day. Couldn't be anything else, though I'd never seen one before. I congratulated him, and immediately... I congratulated him and immediately handed it over. I congratulated him and immediately handed it over. I congratulated him and immediately handed it over, but, Pa's voice darkened. But, I saw murder. I saw murder. But, I saw murder in his eyes. Mid-level adventurer, you understand. Mid-level adventurer, you understand. Weighing his options. Kill me and be wanted for murder, or risk being known to have a soul gem. Harold seemed to be completely enthralled. What happened? Well, what happened? What happened? Well, what happened? Swore right then I'd never repeat his name and would take it to my grave. Thought for sure he'd kill me, but, Pa shrugged. He put 10 gold on the table, swiped back the carcass, and left. I went inside, had a stiff drink, kissed my wife, grabbed a dagger, and didn't sleep for 2 days. Gods above. Harold shook his head. Would have loved to have seen one myself. Would have loved to have seen one myself. Always regretted not asking to forge it for him, Pa mused. Would have done it for free. Always regretted not asking to forge it for him. Would have done it for free, just for the honor. Harold nodded sagely. Would have been something, all right, the guildmaster said. Wonder how they make soul weapons anyway. Wonder how they make soul weapons anyway. Pa's voice was carefully neutral. That's kept close, Harold whispered. All I know is the soul stone chooses the type of weapon. It don't just work with anything, they say. I caught Pa's eye, understanding flooding through me. Clever old man. Clever old man. I kept my mouth shut, as I wasn't one of Dawnwatch's elite. Not yet, anyway, and I didn't want Harold to clam up. Chooses the weapon? Pa pressed. How's that even work? It's not like the gem's sentient and can choose what it wants to bind with, right? No idea, to be honest. Harold shrugged. Shouldn't even know that much, truth be told. Shouldn't even know that much, truth be told. Never heard anything else. Only that during the forging process it will bond with the one holding it, whatever that means. Fascinating, Pa said, nodding slowly. It is indeed. Oh, look at Ash. Oh, to be that age again. No. Harold sighed. No. Oh, no. Harold sighed, and his voice grew melancholic. We're kindred spirits. You and I, Thomas. We're, kindred spirits, you and I, Thomas. Supporting those who battle evil, but unable to go toe-to-toe with them ourselves anymore. Supporting those who battle evil, but unable to go toe-to-toe with them ourselves anymore. Pa shifted uncomfortably, but Harold didn't notice. Guess that's all he knows. Guess that's all he knows. I stepped forward, drawing Harold's attention. Thank you again for the gem, guild leader. I'll put it to good use. I gave him a small bow. Harold blinked and seemed to notice the late hour as he stood, though he nearly. Harold blinked and seemed to notice the late hour as he stood, though he nearly pitched off the roof again. The day's events must have hit the guildmaster particularly hard, and I couldn't blame him. We could have lost a lot of brave and strong people, not just inside the dungeon, but also at the base. And if they'd broken through, it could have doomed the entire town. Careful there, old friend. Careful there, old friend. Pa helped him back inside. 2 more gems to level 4. I rolled the gem between my fingers. And we now know something more about how to forge soul weapons. Pa returned a minute. Pa returned a minute later. With Ma and more beer. Seemed she wasn't sleeping after all, but doing her part of getting Harold to talk. They settled on either side of me, Ma's arm slipping around my shoulders. Have you decided? Pa asked softly. I smiled, feeling the warmth of certainty in my chest. Gonna use the soul gem, Pa. I'm gonna become strong enough to never again lose anyone I care about. Ever. Pa's grin split his face. Get some sleep then, son. Tomorrow, we've got some forging to do. All right. Ow. This is the wrong set. Save life set as. There we go. We're on to. Yeah, okay. I think we got time to do chapter 9. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. Just fix those in the script. Chapter 9. There we go. Okay, so this is saved. Show take lanes. Good stuff. All right, save it again. No thoughts on a release date yet. We normally have a window of 90 days from narration start. So 90 days from this Monday is probably, when we would have final files by. And usually it takes, if we're doing a 2-week pre-order, which I think we should do, usually it's about 2 weeks, it's about an extra month, or 3 weeks rather, from the date that we have the final files to the release. So I'm trying to get this one through speedily. I'm trying to get through it, quickly, so that we can, oh yeah, they currently disconnect streams after 1 hour for most users. If you want to continue streaming on Instagram, you can remove this destination from the stream and re-add it. Okay. All right, there we go. Didn't know that.
July-ish. Yeah, I'm gonna aim for June for a release. But yeah, May would probably be too soon. We're gonna need we're gonna need time because it's a long project as well. So Jessica is already booked. She's ready to jump in, and Jeff, I don't think will require too much of a it won't be too much for him. So he'll be able to get through quickly, but then of course we have to go through proofing and then polishing and all that stuff. Benefit of the pre-order window, there's a few different benefits. Here, let me actually just quickly resave this before I forget. Save live set as set 1, and we don't need Jeff in this set. So the benefit of a pre-order, so 2 weeks of pre-order, that allows for there to be a product on Audible, a product that you can market and put out there. And it's kind of like a nice way to build up some momentum. There is an algorithmic benefit as well, where every sale that happens during the pre-order counts as a sale on day one. So if you have, let's say, just for argument's sake, that you have 1,000 sales of the audiobook during the pre-order, you really hit the marketing campaign, you really push it, and you get a lot of people interested in the book and they pick it up, then on day one of the release, the book is going to hit, when it hits on Audible, it's gonna have 1,000 sales sitting there already. So algorithmically, it looks really, really good to Amazon to see 1,000 sales. I'm giving industry secrets right now. And anyways, it's okay. Use it. If you're an author, use this, to your advantage. The algorithm is everything when it comes to Amazon. So 1,000 sales, day one, boom. Where is that going to launch your audiobook? 1,000 sales on an audiobook is going to push it to the top, maybe 100 in all of Audible, depending on what other people are listening to. So if you can get that, if you during that 2-week window, you can get lots of people to pick up the book. If you can, share all of the codes, the what are they called? The promo codes. If you can encourage people to talk about it, share it, and get more and more, then that day one is going to punch it into the algorithm higher up. It's going to create more visibility for the title on Amazon, and then more and more people are going to be interested. Yeah, that's why. That's the long answer. And yeah, there's a lot of different strategies, but now I've come to really, really like the pre-order strategy, just because it's not even just the algorithm. It's a nice sort of, you can kind of post about it twice. You can kind of tell people about it, like, hey, you can pick up the pre-order now. This is what the story is about, blah, blah, blah. Right? And it counts as a day one sale. So, okay, let us go to... Oh, don't do that. I did not want you to do that. Hate when you do something and then it takes a while to load, but you don't actually want it to do the thing. You accidentally click on something that's like restarting your computer. All right, 10:26. I think there's time for one more chapter here, but I'm gonna have to jump in right away. All right, 9. There we go. Chapter 9. Pa always said that a weapon told its story to whoever bothered listening close enough. As I stood in the smith's doorway, watching him arrange steel with great care, I wondered what story the soul weapon would tell. The sun lit the room through the skylight. I'd planned to be up first, but he'd beaten me to it, as usual,
except this morning the shop doors were closed and the windows barred. For the first time in months, we would not open at sunrise. The night's dreams still clung to me like cobwebs, roads branching into the future. The soul gem floating ahead of me, Aaron's smile, a branch walker's claw stabbing through my neck. I'd barely slept, too excited about being part of making the first soul weapon in this new frontier. Pa lifted his oldest hammer, turning it in the light before setting it aside. Pa lifted his oldest hammer, turning it in the light before setting it aside with a grunt of disapproval. He hadn't noticed me yet. That one's banged up. That one's banged quite some steel, Pa. That one's banged quite some steel. That one's banged quite some steel, Pa. That one's banged quite some steel, Pa, I said with a smile. He startled, then broke into a grin. Sneaking up on your old man now? Not my fault you're going deaf. Not my fault you're going deaf. I crossed to the bench, running a finger along a polished sword blade. How long have you been down here? For a while now. Couldn't sleep. He shrugged, but excitement filled his eyes. Wanted everything perfect. Not every day your son gets a soul weapon. You and me both, Pa. Nightmares and all, but now everything's just fine. We get to forge this. Nightmares and all, but now everything's just fine. We get to forge this together. His grin widened. True enough. Though forge might not be the right word. Truth is, he stroked his beard, I'm not even sure what we're supposed to be doing. The great blacksmith Thomas Fletcher admitting he doesn't know something? I gasped in mock horror. Should I check if the rift's closed? He cuffed my ear, but gently. Watch it, you whelp. Watch it, you whelp. I've forgotten more about metalwork than you'll ever know. That's just because you're getting old and forgetful. That's just because you're getting old and forgetful. We shared a laugh, but then Pa's expression turned serious. From what Harold let slip last night, the gem chooses its form. Pa rapped his knuckles on the workbench. So I pulled our best stock. Anything to catch the soul gem's fancy. I nodded, studying the weapons laid out on the bench. First was a beautiful longsword we'd finished last week, then a mace with a spiked head, and the two-headed battle axe I'd been drooling over. The one that felt like it was made for my hand. Good weapons, ready for any adventurer with the coin. What if none of these are right? Then we forge a new weapon that will be. He patted the forge fondly. But first, we need to learn what the gem wants. No point guessing when we can know for certain. He grinned. Those mind gems you all use, they sort of know where they need to go, right? I nodded and shrugged. Yeah, they just kind of dissolve. Last night's conversation with Harold had given us a starting point, but there was still so much we didn't know. One wrong move and I could lose this chance forever. Describe it to me in detail.
Hey, Kyle. Good to see you. Will Jeff be doing Benedict and the you-know-what? No, Jeff is going to be, he's going to play this character. He's going to be doing this character, who I believe, I can check and see how intensive it is going to be. So already with that one character, it's already, it's actually not too bad. 124 lines. Okay, yes. So yeah, Jeff is going to be playing Knut. Which is, I think, a good amount for him. I'm going to be sticking with Benedict because he's not much of a character. Jeffy boy, describe it to me in detail. The King of England. In detail. Maybe there's something to be learned. I've got 2 mind gems. Why don't you take one? Pa shook his head. No, they are not for me. One day maybe. No, they are not for me. One day maybe, once you reach the highest level, but until then, we invest it all in you. I'll hold you to that, I said, and smiled, pulling out the pearly orb Harold had given me last night. The swirling patterns inside caught the morning light, making it look like captured moonbeams. Just 3 more after this, and I'll be at level 4. I popped the small gem into my mouth and felt it dissolve on my tongue. My skin tingled as a rush of energy washed through me, spreading through every inch of my body and chasing away any exhaustion. The mind fog cleared, replaced by sharp awareness, as if I'd slept 8 full hours. The mind fog cleared, replaced by sharp awareness, as if I'd slept The mind fog cleared, replaced by sharp awareness, as if I'd slept 8 full hours. The pearl kind of melts on my tongue. The pearl kind of melts on my tongue and sends energy rushing toward me, and it feels like the pearl kind of melts on my tongue and sends energy rushing through me. The pearl kind of melts on my tongue and sends energy rushing. The pearl kind of melts on my tongue and sends energy rushing through me. And it feels like, oops. I searched for the words Pa would understand. Like the moment when you strike perfect steel, when everything aligns just right and you know exactly where the next blow needs to land. So the gem knows what to do? Yeah, you can say that, I said, nodding. Right. He gestured at the weapons. Then let's see if the soul gem knows what it wants to be, too. I'll go get it. I looked to the darkened shop and turned back. Ma up? Is Ma up? Ma up? Pa shook his head. Thought I'd let her sleep after she stayed up half the night helping me get Harold to talk. Thought I'd let her sleep after she stayed up half the night helping me get Harold talking. He said and shook his head. Though knowing her, she's probably already awake? Already awake? Though knowing her, she's probably already awake. Already awake? Ma's voice came from the doorway. And wondering why neither of you thought to bring up breakfast before you started working on such an extensive project? She carried a tray laden with bread, cheese, and 2 steaming mugs. The rich smell of her special morning brew filled the workshop, and my stomach rumbled. Pa's belly rumbled too, and we shared a glance before chuckling. Shouldn't forge on an empty stomach, dear, Pa said, putting the tray on a free table. Now you munch on this, and I'll leave you alone to focus. She squeezed Pa's thick arm and kissed his cheek. Thanks, Ma, I said, jogging out and up the stairs, taking them 2 at a time. The hidden compartment clicked open under my touch. The hidden compartment clicked open under my touch, and there it sat, deep purple. The hidden compartment clicked open under my touch, and there it sat. The hidden compartment clicked open under my touch. The hidden compartment clicked open under my touch. The hidden compartment clicked open under my touch, and there it sat, deep purple swirling with green and brown, exactly as we'd left it. I carefully lifted it out, cradling it like a newborn. When I returned to the workshop, the gem held in my hands, when I returned to the workshop, the gem in my hands, Pa had already finished his drink and chomped down half the food. What was that about patient Smiths? You want to wait? He said, his tone threatening. Hell no. Exactly, he said, grinning, showing me the half-eaten. He said, Exactly. You want to wait? You want to wait? You want to wait? He said, his tone threatening. Hell no. Exactly. Exactly, he said, grinning, showing me the half-eaten bread and cheese. I think that's my cue, Ma said, and closed the door. Good luck! Good luck! Ready? Pa asked softly as I ignored the food and let my gaze drift across the weapons. Which one would it choose? What would it turn into? I might be fighting with the weapon for the rest of my life, and I didn't want it to turn into a dagger or a short sword, preferably a good piece of steel with some heft. If it's a sword, please be like the one that Edwin uses, or an axe, like Madrigal. Never more ready, I answered. Right then. Pa waved his empty cup at the spread of weapons. Let's be systematic about this. Start at one end and work your way across. Let's be systematic about this. Start at one end and work your way across. My heart thundered in my chest as I held the soul gem. My heart thundered in my chest as I held the soul gem out over the sword and waited. Anything? Pa asked, and I shrugged. Nothing, I think. Not sure what to look for.
I moved to the next weapon. The daggers drew no response. When I reached the battle axe, the gem continued sitting lifeless in my hand, as still as ordinary crystal. Nothing, I muttered, thinking back to my fight with the spider. The desperation, knowing if I didn't slay it, it'd kill me and my friends. The axe biting into its neck. Maybe this isn't how it's done? Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Pa's voice. Pa's voice held that familiar stubborn tone. Never stop an experiment. Never stop an experiment halfway through. If I was the type to quit part way. You'd never have found the courage to marry Ma, I know. I finished for him and rolled my eyes. I'm doing it. I'm doing it, see? I'm doing it. I'm doing it, see? I'm doing it, see? I'm doing it. I'm doing it, see? I continued to the next weapon in line. The spear. I continued to the next weapon in line. The spear, then the bow, and finally the crossbow. Each weapon sat silently beneath the hovering gem. Only the warhammer remained at the edge. of the bench, and then we could try something else. Only the warhammer remained at the edge of the bench, and then we could try something else. I started to move the gem over it, and froze. My eyes went wide as a faint sensation tickled my palms. What is it? What is it? Pa asked, stepping closer and peering at my hands. The gem. It's vibrating. I moved it back and forth across the warhammer. I moved it back and forth across the warhammer. There was the tiniest tremor, like a whispered suggestion that told me to pick up the weapon. There was the tiniest tremor, like a whispered suggestion that told me to pick up the weapon. There was the tiniest tremor, like a whispered suggestion that told me to pick the weapon. Quickly, I swept the gem back over the other weapons. Nothing. As soon as I brought it near the warhammer again, that subtle vibration returned. Ha! The whoop burst from my throat. Did you see that? Did you see that? Pa grinned from ear to ear. I sure did. Hey, once we're done here, I sure did. Hey, once we're done here, I'll need to write a book on how to forge soul weapons. Under a pen name, of course, Pa said jokingly. But who would know a gem? But who would know a gem could have a preference? I don't know, Pa, but it could have been a worse weapon, that's for sure. Try swinging the warhammer, Pa suggested. See how it feels. I turned to place the soul gem down on the anvil to free my hands I turned to place the soul gem down on the anvil to free my hands, when suddenly it trembled so strongly in my grip I stumbled backward with a yelp. Ah! 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 Oh! Oh! Ah! Ah! Hey, what happened? Pa stepped closer, peering at my hands. The gem, it... I stared at the blacksmith's hammer resting on the anvil. Pa, could you clear the weapons and put the hammer on the table? I raised an eyebrow. He raised He raised an eyebrow, but didn't ask. He raised an eyebrow, but did as I asked. I tested the gem near the anvil first. Nothing. Then I brought it close to the hammer. The crystal practically jumped in my hands, humming with energy. My jaw dropped. "Hammer! Hammer!" Pa shouted, fists raised to the sky. Then he rushed around the workshop, gathering every hammer we owned, laying them out one by one. The cross-pane for detail work, the massive sledge for heavy strikes, the delicate chasing hammer for precious metals, the straight pine. Is it pane? I gotta research that. Pane, I think. Pain. Pa shouted, fists raised to the sky. Then he rushed around the workshop, gathering every hammer we owned, laying them out one by one. The cross-pane for detail work, the massive sledge for heavy strikes, the delicate chasing hammer for precious metals, the straight pane for spreading steel. Each one drew that same resonant hum from the gem. In the end, Pa set down his experimental piece, the massive two-headed steel husk hammer with an extra long haft, closer to a maul, specially designed for working stubborn monster materials. The crystal's vibration intensified, pulling the weapon like it recognized something in that purple-gray steel. By the smith, Pa muttered, his voice filled with awe. I think we found our winner. He broke into a wide grin. This is the best day ever. I stared at the steel husk hammer, my hands numbing from the vibrations. There was definitely something about the weapon's brutal simplicity and its raw power. I could learn to fight with a weapon like that. This is the one, I said, stepping back and licking my lips. Pa, this hammer, can you make another one? If we needed to? Pa was quiet for a long moment, studying the hammer. No, not like this one. A good friend helped me forge it. Special circumstances. He shrugged. Truth is, even if I could make another, I doubt it'd be any better. The gem hummed steadily in my palm, gently pulling toward the hammer. A smith's hammer. A smith's hammer is going to become a soul weapon. His voice grew thick. My father would have loved to see this. He always said our craft was as much about destruction as creation, breaking down the old to forge the new. You're okay with giving it up? I asked softly. Ha! Give it up? Son, I made this hammer to do great things. Just didn't know at the time how great it would turn out to be. Pa's laugh filled the workshop. Give it up? Son, I made this hammer to do great things. Just didn't know at the time how great it would turn out to be. He clasped my shoulder. A soul weapon and a soul weapon and a hammer at that. A soul weapon and a hammer at that? Couldn't. A soul weapon and a soul weapon and a hammer at that? A soul weapon, a soul weapon and a hammer at that? Couldn't be more perfect. A soul weapon and a hammer at that? Couldn't be more perfect. Oh, thank you, I said with a grin. Then, let's make a soul weapon, Pa. Don't thank me. Don't thank me yet. He squeezed my shoulder. Still gotta forge the binding. You ready? I nodded. Any ideas what to do? Any ideas on what to do? Pa stroked his beard. Let's start by simply touching the gem and the hammer. The weapon, together, and see what happens. Maybe this gem? Maybe the gem knows what to do?
All right. Shoot, I've got 7 minutes. I gotta run soon. Dang. We're so close. There's no way. Oh, no. I'm not gonna make it, guys. Oh, no. Oh, well. I'll do a little, maybe I'll do a little stream this weekend. And you guys can hear a little bit of rock. I think I was talking about doing a special rock cold read. Maybe the gem knows what to do? I moved it to and from the hammer, feeling the vibrations change. I moved it to and from the hammer, feeling the vibrations change. Pa limped across the workshop and picked up a piece of leather. It chose a hammer. Our hammer. It chose a hammer. Our hammer. There was pride in his voice as he carried the heavy vise, setting it. There was pride in his voice. It chose a hammer. Our hammer. There was pride in his voice as he carried the heavy vise, setting it carefully on the workbench. Then he wrapped the leather around the steel husk hammer and secured it upright, making tiny adjustments until finally he stepped back with a satisfied nod. Remember what I taught you about forging? The setup matters. The setup matters more than the strike. Exactly. He moved to the doors, checking the bars. No interruptions, no distractions. No interruptions, no distractions, no mistakes. No interruptions, no interruptions, no interruptions, no distractions, no mistakes. No interruptions, no interruptions, no interruptions, no distractions, no mistakes. All right. That is all the time I have for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I think I'm going to do a part 4 for this, and then I'll do a special rock video to promote the book a little bit and show kind of what people can expect with a character voice. But alas, I thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you, Henrik, for hanging here and sharing your thoughts as always. Bill, you stayed for a while. I really appreciate that. Anybody still watching, thank you for tuning in. And I will see you soon. I think I'm going to be streaming this weekend, so stay tuned. Make sure that you're following the SBTL channel and the JTJ or the Justin Thomas James Facebook page. To get updates on that. Have a fantastic weekend if I don't see you. And until next time, happy listening.